This is an LLD production.
This is an LLD production.
Welcome to this special episode of Owlia's Opinions, the podcast in which we take a better look into the world we love, learn new things, and debate the toughest issues the world has in store. I am your host, Armon Owlia. I am a journalism student here at Drexel University in Philadelphia, and it's time to enter the new School of Thought. First of all, thank you guys so much for stopping by and listening to this particular episode. So much we have to talk about on this special Autism Awareness Month episode of Owlia's Opinions. That's right. April is Autism Awareness Month, and starting from this season, every April we're going to dedicate one episode in the month to the amazing world of the autism spectrum. This episode, I'll provide my review of the Oscar-nominated documentary Life Animated, discuss how a popular autism advocacy group are really doing more harm than good, and because this was a pretty sudden thing, I'll be talking about the fire at Notre Dame and my own personal experiences with the building. First things first, though, this last month has had its ups and downs, and it began, of course, with a down, as I could not do my last episode due to an illness which impacted my voice. And honestly, the last thing I wanted to do was give you guys an episode where I was not at my best. So apologies for that. However, there has been, I think, plenty of compensation, not just from myself, but from all of you, with the announcement from Apple Podcasts that we are now officially recognized as a 5-star show. I thank everyone who gave us that rating and made it possible. Also, I did announce that we'll also be around for a 4th season beginning in January 2020. There will be details in the upcoming episodes on that, so I recommend you stay tuned. This is also, technically speaking, the first ever sponsored episode through Neurodragons, which is the official student-run autism advocacy group of Drexel University. They'll be doing a panel, actually, on this episode within the next couple of days. I recommend you guys tune into that as well through their Facebook page and through their social media. There's going to be some interesting discussions, I hope, just based on the content of this episode. Let's see what happens. Finally, and I promise, this is the last announcement before we get through to the show, Owlia's Opinions has official Autism Awareness Month merchandise exclusively available for the month of April. You might have seen this a few times through our social media, Owlia's Opinions for Autism. These are some amazing shirts. I personally love the design. We've had a few of them sold actually recently, and I'm very proud of them. On May 1st, they are going to officially disappear until season 4. So I just want to say this again. Go to shop.spreadshirt.com/love learn debate. You'll be able to find the design very quickly. Don't forget to buy your merch. You don't have that much longer now, about 10 more days, and that merch is going to go bye-bye. So trust me when I say this, I would be deeply appreciative if you did purchase it, because I think this is great merch for an even greater cause. So with all of that said, and with every announcement over the past month pretty much out of the way, let us get started. One of my favorite quotes from Walt Disney goes, "First, think. Second, dream. Third, believe. And finally, dare." In other words, it takes more than wishing upon a star for something to come through, and it takes devotion and hard work to get there. I find it fitting then that I can use that same quote to describe a documentary called Life Animated, which gave me some level of hope that the voices of those in the spectrum community can be captured with not only high accuracy, but also with great truth and honesty from the filmmakers and the subject of the documentary. Life Animated is a fantastic and eye-opening look into the world of the autism spectrum in a way that seems almost revolutionary and groundbreaking, with a combination of animation and storytelling that was able to not only successfully captivate, but also successfully inform. This documentary, which was nominated for an Academy Award almost 3 years ago, documents the life of Owen Susskind, a writer and Disney enthusiast who is the in the middle of the lower and higher functioning ends of the autism spectrum. Throughout his life, he used Disney films to communicate with his family, making them the center of his universe, and the documentary itself deals with how he graduates from school and begins an independent life away from the one-dimensional and straightforward world of Disney and into the complicated, messy world of real life. Dealing with complicated topics such as sexual relations, heartbreak, and isolation, Susskind begins to realize that maybe Disney alone won't help him in the real world. The topic of autism and how it affects people can be clearly seen and is dealt with spectacularly, with a level of maturity bordering on normality that is overall lacking in the world. Indeed, the Spectrum mind combined with the Disney catalog is fingerprinted all over the film, and not only the many impressions done by Owen Susskind, but also the animation style and to a certain degree the musical score. Quite frankly, too, it also helps to have Disney legends such as Gilbert Gottfried and Jonathan Freeman make cameos that make even the low-key Disney nerds go crazy with excitement, demonstrating that it knows how to keep the audience engaged. The documentary from beginning to end demonstrates clearly that although Owen Susskind has come a long way and his understanding of the world has followed a similar route, he still has a far way to go. The ending, unlike other Disney films, does not follow the simple happily ever after formula, but instead leaves the door open for future growth. Through this choice, it shows how, even though the film itself consists of not only original animation but clips of Disney that perfectly fit Susskind's moods, it perfectly demonstrates living life, even under the most bizarre circumstances, and how spectrum or not, it is difficult to maneuver around the real world. So what do you guys think? I want to know, what do you think of the film? If you haven't seen it, go see it. I recommend you do. And if you have seen it already, do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Either way, go to www.loveanddebate.com, click on the Love tab. You will find the article there. You'll find the review. Put any questions and thoughts in the comments section. So now we are going to take a short break. When we come back after the song by the Autistic, we're going to be talking about a certain so-called advocacy group and how, well, they're doing more harm than good, and a way you can actually reverse the damage. We'll be back after this. So that was Positive by the Autisticks, and well, honestly, I quite enjoyed that. The music itself is it's very hard and very aggressive, but it's also something that's very calm and very relaxing. It's a very difficult balance to achieve, but the Autisticks did it very well. And listening through this album, which is their latest one called The Meadow Sunshine, it really does give me a lot of hope that music like this can still be, alive in the future, and they're doing phenomenally. I really do love their work. Great guys from the UK. Maybe they can start another British invasion. I'd be grateful if they did. So anyway, like I said, this was Positive by the Autisticks. Their most recent EP, The Meadow Sunshine, is available on iTunes and Spotify. They were also featured on The One Show in the United Kingdom through BBC One. The full episode, as well as all links for The Meadow Sunshine, will be in the description. It has been almost surreal for the past 8 years to see the changing perception of the autism spectrum, especially in the media. From having been either a punchline or a stereotype in the media to now being fully fleshed, well-portrayed, multidimensional characters who are more than their so-called disability, the view on autism and the spectrum has come a long way as the prevalence rate has increased. Indeed, looking at the evolution from Raymond Babbitt in Rain Man to Dr. Sean Murphy on The Good Doctor and Julia, the first autistic character in Sesame Street, really gives me some level of hope that the stigma of being on the spectrum will slowly break apart. And then there are groups like Autism Speaks that completely ruin my rosy view, making my hopes for greater understanding fade into the realization that we will never be able to shake the stigma thoroughly. Now, on the surface, it looks like I should support Autism Speaks due to them funding tons of autism research, as well as its status as the top advocacy group for those on the autism spectrum. However, I have made it a point to never associate with them for numerous reasons, and I know plenty of people on the autism spectrum who would agree with me wholeheartedly. First, for people who are fortunate enough to not know what Autism Speaks is, I will quickly explain. Autism Speaks was founded in 2005 by grandparents Bob and Suzanne Wright. Their mission was to look for and promote solutions needed to help everyone across the broad spectrum of autism and investigate better interventions. However, the first concern I have with this organization is one of the 3 organizations that were not only Autism Speaks as an offshoot, but ended up merging with them. Cure Autism Now. As the name suggests, Cure Autism Now focus on autism as a disease that could be cured rather than a natural part of the person's identity. Indeed, the overall medical opinion is that autism and other conditions on the spectrum are disorders and things that can be treated. While that is technically true, and some side effects of autism such as sensitivity to sounds and lights can be lessened, by no means is autism a disability. Despite this, however, the main focus of Autism Speaks is to not come to acceptance, but rather to find a cure, or to create quote-unquote normality. See what I'm talking about here? On top of that, Autism Speaks claims to be focused more on research rather than advocacy. However, according to their own 990 nonprofit tax exemption form, the majority of their funding, 42% to be exact, comes from lobbying and quote-unquote advocacy. However, as stated before, their advocacy is not really helping the autism community. In fact, it's promoting many of the stigmas that are typically associated with the autism community. Indeed, it creates the perception that people on the spectrum, no matter where they lie, are anomalies in everyday life. Considering, too, that the organization is called Autism Speaks, you would think that the majority of people on the board of the organization are on the spectrum. However, you would be wrong. Of the 26 board members, only 2 of them are on the spectrum. And of those 26, 19 are actually members of major corporations, including designer Tommy Hilfiger, who has been associated with the organization as well as his brand due to his daughter's diagnosis, even appearing in ads for Autism Speaks. When Autism Speaks decides to do research, however, they tend to not only research the wrong thing, they have also put their metaphorical feet in their mouths due to the outdated statements. In the past, I have mentioned Andrew Wakefield's infamous study, and I use the term loosely, regarding the linkage of the MMR vaccine to autism, and how in 2011, Lancet, the medical journal which first published those findings, completely retracted it, along with every study based on it. Autism Speaks would not do the same thing until 2015, and even then, after devoting a massive amount of financial resources to it and changing the language to prevent a measles outbreak. Their position prior, which was published in 2013, read, quote, "It remains possible that, in rare cases, immunization may trigger the onset of autism symptoms in a child with an underlying medical or genetic condition." However, the positions of the people who resigned during this time were clear. Vaccines didn't cause autism, and yet Autism Speaks were unwilling to make a statement supporting it. So enough of me complaining about this so-called advocacy group. The important thing is what can be done to combat Autism Speaks. Well, 2 things. On top of boycotting companies who support Autism Speaks, such as Tommy Hilfiger, you can cut your funding to Autism Speaks and instead contribute money to other organizations, such as the Autism Self-Advocacy Network, founded and run entirely by members of the autism spectrum. So in a way, that's Autism Speaks done right. And also, you should support the Yellow Feather Fund, which was created by the Sesame Workshop. I bring this one up due to the character of Julia on Sesame Street, which I just said was the first autistic Muppet character and a landmark in children's television. Based on the episodes that she has played a part in and numerous interviews, it is clear that Sesame Street not only heavily researched autism, but has had a full focus on letting people, especially young children, normalize autism and other spectrum disorders, which is in the end what all members of the spectrum community want: acceptance. I'll even go so far as to say that a petition should be created to make Julia a main character. And if you want to create that petition, no need. I already did. You can go on change.org and find it, and that link will be in the description. Autism Speaks is nothing more than an autism pity party. They don't speak for me or anyone else on the spectrum, and in a month where autism awareness is essential, it is even more so to understand the roles of these organizations. Leave this job to those who understand. So what do you guys think? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? What's your view on Autism Speaks and what they do? What do you think of the character of Julia on Sesame Street to the parents of young children who might be watching this show? Either way, go to www.lovelanddebate.com, click on the Learn tab, you'll find the article there, and in the description you will find a petition that will be sent to the Sesame Workshop in regards to ensuring that Julia becomes the main character of Sesame Street's cast. Put any questions and thought in the comment section, and please don't forget to sign that petition. That would be huge. So we are going to take a short break. When we come back after the latest single by Courier Club called Kangaroo Court, which is available on iTunes and Spotify, all links in the description, I'll close out the show by talking about one of the greatest buildings ever made and how, well, we can all work together to save it. And now, some final thoughts. A debate to start at the end of this program. The first time I went to Paris, almost 10 years ago, I was struck by its beauty and majesty. Here I was, after all, in a city which I had long dreamt of visiting, the sights of which captivated my mind and soul. However, the one sight that not only captured my imagination, but also had a tight grip on my soul unlike anything before, was a specific cathedral that has been the center of the literary and cultural world for now over 800 years. Notre Dame. Now, I know, why would a cathedral of all buildings captivate a self-described spiritual atheist? I should naturally want to stay away from the building. Well, you would have been wrong. Notre Dame ended up being the most memorable part of the trip for me, due to its scale and atmosphere. No matter where I have gone since then, I have never been able to find an equal or even something that came close. When you enter, your breath seems to escape and travel upwards to the ceiling. The stained glass windows, especially the rose window, leaked so much color into the structure that you felt that every problem you had didn't matter. To any person, whether or not you have faith, it became clear that something greater than yourself was at work. This power, as mentioned above, has been the basis for so much work and fantasy, as well as significant historical events. It is the cathedral in which Joan of Arc began her journey from heretic to saint. Napoleon Bonaparte infamously became the Emperor of France, and the cult of reason, the first atheistic religion, was based there. It is that same power that also saved Notre Dame from destruction in the late 19th century. That's right. Over time, after the fall of Robespierre in the late 1790s, the church began to decay, and many of its significant signature features were removed. It was still functioning, but barely, and there were rumblings of its impending destruction. However, in 1831, Victor Hugo, the writer of Les Miserables, wrote another classic that saved the building, The Hunchback of Notre Dame. It was this piece about a hunchback living in the church's bell tower, looking for love and acceptance, that convinced the French government to not only fully restore the building, but to make it the center of Paris, an icon even more famous and recognizable than the Eiffel Tower. It also spawned many infamous adaptations, including the 1996 Disney musical, but that's another story for another day. And then, of course, a few days ago, the unthinkable happened. Notre Dame was set ablaze. It was a moment I thought I would never see, and something so horrifying that it infested my dreams. It was only the soundtrack of The Hunchback of Notre Dame that saved me from despair, as the infamous spire of the church fell through the wooden roof. Despite the report that there were no fatalities, it felt like part of my soul went up in flames with the cathedral. However, even after all the damage, there has been nothing but good news, as people all over the world have donated massive sums to reconstruct and restore the building to its former glory. Emmanuel Macron, the Prime Minister of France, has even declared that the cathedral will be reopened in 5 years. However, it is highly unlikely, especially when you consider it took 182 years to even build the Notre Dame Cathedral. However, as seen by the reactions of the world, it's not impossible. Notre Dame has captured all of our imaginations and hearts, not just now, but in the past and also in the future. It is time to channel that emotion into a positive outcome that will make the bells of Notre Dame sing once more as an active cathedral, the heart of Paris, and the ultimate gem in human imagination and creation. I, for one, have faith in it. So what do you guys think? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Either way, please go to www.loveanddebate.com, click on the debate section and respond, please. And while you're at it, don't forget to like us on Facebook by going to www.facebook.com/loveanddebate. Follow us on Twitter at loveanddebate. Follow us on our Instagram page at loveanddebate. Subscribe to the podcast on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. Don't forget to give us a review. 5 stars would be amazing. And don't forget to purchase our merchandise via the Spreadshirt link in the description. My thanks to Omidari Jani for the graphics and show soundtrack, the Autistics and Courier Club for their amazing musical contributions to the show, and Hilary Lau and Lola Heffernan for their tremendous generosity in lending their voices. That's it for this week. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks ready to go. Thank you guys for listening, and Until next time, keep loving, keep learning, keep debating. We'll see you next time on Olia's Opinions. Goodbye.
This has been an LLD production, recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.